There are 5 traps that can exist in your life only if you allow them. They can hold you back from your destiny. They can keep you from becoming the best version of yourself. They can keep you from living the life that you want to live. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about the comparison trap. I'm going to be sharing with you the signs, the causes, the effects, and I'm also going to be giving you an action step to completely avoid the comparison trap. So if that interests you, just keep on checking out the rest of this episode. This is the space where you are saying yes to your biggest goals in a world full of idle dreamers by empowering your identity, beliefs, and abilities. Prepare yourself because to create the reality we want, we say no to excuses, who cares to other people's thoughts, feelings, or expectations. And we say enough to the things that are holding us back from our greatness. It's time to set the table to do the work to become successful, fulfilled, and free. Welcome to the Dream Lifestyle Podcast. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Dream Lifestyle Podcast. My name is Trevon Gross Jr., and I'm super excited and thankful to have you here, where in this episode, we're going to be talking about the comparison trap. Now, but this is the 10th episode of this podcast, and I'm super thankful to every single person that has given constructive criticism. If this podcast has motivated you in any way, if it's inspired you to really take action and make some changes in your life, I really thank you, just because at one point, this podcast really just was an idea. And for us to now be at 10 episodes is really something special. So I'm honestly blessed, and I'm thankful to every single one of you that listen. So if you could do me a favor, you can like, comment, subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to me on a podcast platform, do me a favor and just leave me a review, just so more people can get information that will help them become the best version of themselves, the version that their dream requires. Also, if you haven't by now, check out craftyourdream.org, where you're going to see more information just about some of my coaching and the programs that I have in place. I have programs that help you become a better performer. I have programs that help you with your mindset, and I have just a high achiever coaching program that really is beneficial to you. Also, you have the possibility to join our Dream Society, which is basically a 3-month membership, basically at $35 a month, to just help you, once again, just push you towards the version that you need to become, so that way you can have everything that you want to have. So if you could do that for me, I truly appreciate it. But without further ado, let's get into this episode where we are talking about the comparison trap. And the comparison trap is something that you've probably heard before, but hopefully, prayerfully, probably, I'm going to say something that might shift your perspective, that really, once again, just inspires change and motivates you to do something different, so that way you can be successful in your life. Because it's so easy to get distracted, particularly with people, with the way social media is operating today. We see so many different ads. You know, we're just thrown so much information that it's very easy for us to shift focus in the wrong place. And because of that, it's very easy for us to fall into the comparison trap. It can happen consciously, but it also can happen subconsciously. And it can also show itself in different areas in life, right? You might be really good in your career, but you may be comparing your friendships. You might be really good in your friendships, but you could be comparing your career. So it's something that you really have to be intentional about, particularly just what you're focusing on. So the comparison trap is something you do want to avoid. And so just so that way we're clear on just the entire episode of what I'm going to be talking about in terms of when I get into the signs, the causes, the effects, and an action step, I want to start off, as always, just with a working definition for just what the comparison trap is. All right. So the definition that I came up with for the comparison trap is that the comparison trap is focusing on other people in a way that is distracting and or stunts growth. All right. I'll say that one more time. The comparison trap is focusing on other people in a way that is distracting and or stunts growth. As I said before, we have so much information being thrown at us, and I know it may not feel like it to you, but understand that every single time a notification goes off on your phone, that is your attention immediately going to it. And it might even happen so much that even if no notification comes through, you're still looking at your phone wondering, oh my God, somebody texted me. Oh man, someone commented on my picture. Oh man, someone liked my photo. Oh, someone followed me. We have so much going on around us that, we just have notifications for everything. And it's so easy for us to get distracted and focus on the wrong things, particularly people when we're in a age of influencers and things like that, where we may find ourselves wishing that we had what other people had, or we find ourselves wishing we were being other people, or so many different things that we're just comparing our lives to someone else. And the truth is that that is super unfair to you, and you need to stop doing that, because in order for you to move forward, you have to be able to operate from where you truly are, not from where someone you heard of is, not from where one of your friends is. You have to really be honest with yourself about where you are, so that way you can make real progress towards your dream. Okay. And the reason that this definition is what it is simply because focusing on what other people are doing, it's so easy to do, because once again, we're following celebrities, we're seeing what so many influencers are doing. Or, like I said, just so much information. So if that's distracting you from your mission, if it's distracting you from growing to be the person that you need to be, I hate to tell it to you, but you're in the comparison trap. So, you may be listening to me and you're like, well, how do I know? So I'm going to give you just some of the signs for what the comparison trap is. Some of the signs of the comparison trap. The first sign of the comparison trap is that your decisions are dictated by others. All right. Your decisions are dictated by others. And what I mean by that is simply that for you to make a decision when it comes to your career, for you to make a decision in terms of friends, for just anything, for your success, when you make those decisions, you base those decisions in terms of why you make those decisions based strictly off of what other people are doing. And the reason why that is crippling is because everyone's decision is different. The reasons behind those decisions are different. The reason why you need to make certain decisions for your business to grow, you can't do that if you're operating where someone that you see on Instagram, right? Now, it's possible to be motivated. It's possible to use other people as frameworks, right? And blueprints to be where you want to be. But you really want to make sure that when you're making decisions, that you're making decisions from a place of, this is just what I want to do. Okay, it's not totally influenced by what I saw someone do on Instagram. It's not influenced by what I saw someone said to do on Twitter. It's not influenced by what I saw my grandmom say to do on Facebook. Like, every decision that you're making is basically from a place of confidence, and it's from a place of, this is what I need to do for me. Okay, because once again, to the definition, if you're focused on what other people, it's going to lead to your decision making. And so if you're making decisions that are basically dictated by what other people are doing, you're going to find yourself in the comparison trap. Because once again, in order for you to make successful decisions, in order for you to get to where you need to go, you want to make sure that you are making decisions from where your feet are. All right. Now, the second sign of the comparison trap is that you start any self-talk with, if only I had ... All right. If you start any type of self-talk or any conversations with, if only I had fill in the blank, if only I had more money, if only I had access to this, if only I was friends with so-and-so, if only I was able to do that. If you're starting off your sentences, if you find your day-to-day language involves that little beginning part of your statement, that predicate of the sentence, you're more than likely in the comparison trap. Because if you are basically always focused on what you wish you had, what you want to have, and just basically not where your feet are, you're comparing yourself. All right. Understand, we all have a different experience. We all have a different story, but that's something that we have to own. If you just spend more of your time focusing on what you wish you had, you're not going to ever take stock in what you have. And in order for you to get to where you need to go, you need to be very clear on what you have and leverage what you have to get to the next level. Because I can tell you that you have everything that you need right now as you listen to me on this podcast, that you have everything you need to be successful. And it's just up to you to really take stock in what you have and get to work. Okay, so those are the two signs, really, because when you're focused on what someone else has, or you're focused on what someone else is doing, you're pretty much just being the definition of a hater. That's pretty much the definition of a hater. Because understand, like, the line between jealousy and love is very thin. Okay, you can love something so much that you become jealous of it. And you want to make sure that you're always intentional, that when you are looking at other people, when you are paying attention to what maybe someone, your success model, is doing, that you're doing it from a place of, okay, that's what this person is doing. I understand why they're doing that. And maybe this is how I can tweak it so it can be for me. But any decision that I make for my business, any decision that I make for my career, any decision that I make with my friends, any decision I make for me is dictated by me. Okay. Once again, you may learn from people, but you want to make sure that you're not making decisions based on what other people are doing. So if you find yourself that you are making decisions that are dictated based on what other people are doing, if you find yourself always saying and talking about what you wish you had, or if only I had that, if only I had this, if only I could do that, if only I could do this, I want you to basically pay attention to the rest of this episode, particularly the action step at the end of this episode, because you need to get out of the comparison trap because it's only robbing you. All right. Now, I want to get into the causes, some of the causes of the comparison trap. Okay. The first cause of the comparison trap is that there's a lack of mission. Okay. There is a lack of a mission. And what I mean by that is if you were to look at, and as I do, if you study the most successful people in the world, they have a mission. All right. I always say that you need to be setting yourself limitless goals. That's pretty much your mission. Like, why are you here on this earth? What are you trying to do with your business? What are you trying to do with your career? What are you trying to do with the platform, the brand that you're building? When you have a mission, you're not focused on what other people are doing. You don't have time because you are locked in on what you have to do. When you have answered what's at stake for yourself, what's at stake for your dream, what's at stake for your life, you're not going to even want to compare yourself. You're going to want to find your success models, see who's done really well in whatever space that you want to do, and you're going to duplicate it, but you're going to duplicate it in a way that is yours. You're going to basically make their framework, take their blueprint and make it yours. That way you're building your own framework. That's pretty much how success happens, okay? Because success leaves clues, and you want to take those clues and make them your own so that way you can create your own success that you can be proud of, okay? So if you find yourself not having a mission, I encourage you to write down and figure out a mission for yourself. Figure out what you like to do, figure out what you're good at, and just get started with that. Okay. But one of the causes of the comparison trap is that there's a lack of mission. So make sure that you define a mission for yourself. Write it down in your journal, write it in your phone, make it a phone background, whatever it is, find a mission for yourself. All right. The second cause of the comparison trap is that there's a lack of confidence. All right. Lack of confidence. Because you may be listening to me and you're like, okay, well, I have a mission, but how do I still not fall into the comparison trap? Well, understand, if you are not confident in your ability to complete the mission, you can still find yourself in the comparison trap. Because if you are not confident in your ability, you're just going to end up having the language of, I wish I could do ... I wish I was able to have access to that. I wish I could do that. If only I had that. If only I had this. You're going to find yourself speaking from a place of over there. You're going to find yourself speaking from a place of wish. You're going to have a bunch of wishful thinking language. And you want to make sure that in order for you to avoid that type of language, in order for you to avoid the comparison trap, is that you actually have confidence in what you're doing. You have confidence in your mission. You have confidence in your ability to complete it. You have confidence in your ability to suffer through and pay the cost of whatever it is to get to where you want to go. Okay. And if you don't have confidence, it's going to be very hard for you to avoid this trap. So I encourage you to implement some sort of habit, implement some sort of mindset that allows you to be confident in your process. So that way you can not only avoid the confidence trap, avoid the comparison trap, but make sure that you are avoiding all the traps, but have the confidence so that way you can become the best version that you need to become for your dream, because you understand what's at stake. All right. In order for you to have a mission, you understand what's at stake. And if you don't understand what's at stake, please get clear on what's at stake if you do not make your dream happen. Okay. So those are the two causes: a lack of mission and a lack of confidence. Now, the effects. All right. The effects of the comparison trap. Now, the one effect, and this is probably the biggest one for me, is regret. One of the biggest effects of the comparison trap is regret, just because, you may see something through, but it's not going to turn out the way you wished it did, or you hoped it did, or you thought it would, simply because you weren't making decisions for yourself. Because you're just going to create something that was in somebody else's dream rather than creating something that was in yours. Because when you just follow somebody else's blueprint, when you compare yourself to what other people have, when you compare yourself and make decisions based off what other people are doing, you're going to create something that is completely foreign to you. And that's going to be regretful, because you're going to put in so much time, so much effort, so much energy into something that doesn't even turn out the way that you want it to. So you want to make sure that in avoiding the comparison trap, that you keep that in mind. Because if you know you're in the comparison trap and you're like, well, I'm seeing some success, I'm telling you, in the end, it's all going to be fake. It's all going to be false, and you're just going to be regretful because it's not what you originally wanted. Okay. So take control of your own life, define things for yourself, define your own mission, find your own confidence, make decisions for yourself, and let's get to work. Now, the second effect is that you never have any self-accountability, because if you're just comparing yourself to other people, and you're going to find that you have no self-accountability, because you're always just like, well, if so-and-so is doing it, that means I can do it too. If so-and-so is able to have that, then I can have it too, without actually examining where you are. If you lack the ability to be self-accountable, if you can't hold yourself accountable, if you cannot trust yourself, you make things very hard for yourself. And you want to make sure that you are able to hold yourself accountable, and you want to make sure that you avoid the comparison trap, because you need to be self-accountable. You need to be able to hold yourself accountable. You need to be able to ask yourself the hard questions, and not even ask yourself the hard questions, but answer the hard questions from yourself for you to be successful. Okay. So please avoid the comparison trap at all costs, so that way you do not end up regretful, so that way you do not lacking self-accountability, because honestly, no one wants to be around anyone that does not know how to be self-accountable. If you do not have accountability, I can tell you right now, I don't want you to be around me. And there are many others out there that agree with me. So make sure that you are doing whatever you can to hold yourself accountable, that you're making decisions based off what you want, that you're living life on your terms, and you're living life in a way that is allowing you to be success, that you're creating success for you, that you are completing a mission for you and not for anybody else, not based on what anybody else is doing, not any other opportunities. All your opportunities are for you, and it's just up to you to work for them, so that way those doors can open, and they will open, as long as you just continue to work for them and continue to pay the cost every single time, every single opportunity. All right. Now, I said a bunch. I talked about the signs. I talked about the causes. I talked about the effects of the comparison trap. Now I'm going to give you guys the action step. And the action step for this episode, in a way in which will allow you to avoid the comparison trap, is to be honest with yourself. I mentioned earlier that you need to be able to ask yourself the hard questions and answer the hard questions from yourself. But you need to be honest with yourself. And being honest with yourself is the easiest way, I can tell you, to avoid the comparison trap. Just because when you're very honest with yourself, you know if you made a decision because that's what somebody else wanted. You know you went and got some program because you just saw that that's what somebody else did. You know that you went for a certain type of job just because that's just what you thought everyone else was doing. You know that. So if you know in your heart of hearts, if you've made decisions, if you've basically just been in a place of comparison. And so all I'm telling you to do is just be honest with yourself. And what that may look like is in the morning, at night, whenever it is, just go to a quiet place, turn off the music, turn off any podcast you're listening to, turn off any movies, TV, whatever. Just get quiet with yourself. Just spend time with you. And I just want you to be honest with yourself about anyone or anything that you've been comparing to. And then once you get clear on that, I want you to press follow or unfollow. I want you to cut off. I want you to stop. Whatever you have to do, eliminate anything that is causing you to fall into the comparison trap. Because once again, you're just being unfair to yourself, and you deserve more. You deserve to do and make decisions that allow you to be successful. All right. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys for checking out this episode where I basically shared with you the signs, the causes, the effects, and an action step of being honest with yourself to avoid the comparison trap. I appreciate you guys for checking out this episode. If I said something in here once again that really struck you, if it inspired change, if it inspired you to take action for your life, do me a favor, leave me a comment just to let me know that I'm on track. Also, keep in mind that we have events running every single month. So check out the Momentum Gravity event that's coming up next month. Of course, check out the Dream Society, as well as just the other coaching programs that I have in place in the description below. If you're watching on YouTube, or if you're listening to me on a podcast platform, just go to craftyourdream.org, where you'll see all that information. I appreciate you guys. Check out another one of these episodes, because once again, this is the 10th episode, so there are 9 other episodes that you can go back to where I'm giving out just a bunch of free, valuable information that'll help you become the best version of yourself. Once again, the version that your dream requires. So I appreciate you guys for that. Always remember, your dream is possible as long as you are willing to work for it, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.